Welcome to an all-new Everything Else podcast. I am your host, Money Mike, and today on the Everything Else podcast, I will be discussing Madden 18 in a three-part series, with this being part 1 looking at the brand new story mode for Madden 18 called Longshot. Now, if you all remember, back in Madden 13, what that did was combine franchise and superstar mode into one mode, connected franchise, and since then we have been stuck with connected franchise, combining the two modes. So for a while, I think a lot of fans, a lot of gamers of Madden, they've wanted to see the two modes separated the way they were back in the PS2 days. When I see the trailer, I thought, okay, it actually kind of looked exciting. Now, granted, it probably did bring a lot of hopes up, seeing the Oregon and the Texas authentic logos in the game. So, what does that mean for potentially NCAA football coming back? It might maybe be a step towards that. But let's go back to Longshot here. After seeing the trailer, I thought, okay, you know what? This is actually a good way to bring back Superstar mode as its own standalone game mode. You get it away from the whole connected franchise, and you make franchise separated again. So now these two would be two separate game modes. And I thought, okay, after the trailer, my first thought was, okay, so this is going to be something that where we can go through, we can have an impact on how he is portrayed throughout college, throughout the whole entire process leading up to the draft, and basically how he is perceived in the NFL. I thought maybe, okay, this might be some kind of dynamic branching off story type of story mode, where the things that we do as a user affects what happens to him throughout his career. Now, I don't know if the NFL would allow for off the field issues to be in their game, but if you were able to hang out with the wrong people, you get caught up in stuff, and then as you're going through college, you start getting this reputation with NFL scouts that are just okay, he's a talented guy, but he has these off the field issues which would impact your draft stock. And then depending on it, by the time it comes to the draft, you may be a first round talent, but because of the field issues, you might not be drafted until the third, fourth round, second round, whatever the case may be. And of course, one of the things that's not represented in franchise mode is off the field issues. And what's very interesting to me is a quote that Mike Young, the creative director for Madden 18, where he says, and this is from GameInformer.com, I asked EA Tiburon creative director Mike Young if there was anything in the story like controversial off-the-field incidents that the NFL would object to, and he said no. So, that to me is very, very telling because, for me, I thought one of the things that the NFL would never allow in Madden would be off-the-field issues where in franchise mode you could have guys that have off-the-field issues coming out. Same thing here for this long shot where I thought, how cool would it be where if you got messed up or mixed up with the wrong crowd and now you all of a sudden have character issues, and now all of a sudden some team takes you in the first round. Now all of a sudden you have to now go out there and show that these are behind, those days are behind me, or you're going to overcome it and become this great NFL player and prove everybody wrong, yada yada yada. So that's very, very telling to me. Very interesting. I think, to me at least, that gives me some hope that maybe that will be incorporated into franchise mode down the line with off-the-field issues. Especially, definitely would like to see it implemented in Longshot going forward in future games as well. I think that would be very interesting, a very more interesting path to the NFL. And I thought, okay, cool. This is seems like very interesting. I might play it until I read details about the game. And then I thought, why did EA waste 4 years of resources on a mode where we don't actually get to play? Who is working in EA Sports? Whoever thought developing a career mode where you don't even play a NFL game in a NFL game, if that makes any sense. Okay, let me try to better word this. Who at EA thought that in a NFL licensed video game, a career mode where you don't even take one snap on the football field would be a good idea? This, my friends, is what's called 4 years of wasteful resources down the drain, and shows why EA Sports is so far behind 2K and Sony in so many aspects, different aspects, I should say. I mean, clearly here, EA Sports is so out of touch with what what their fans want in the game of Madden that it's terrible. And I'll get to the whole out of touch thing in another part of this discussion here, as I am going to be discussing Madden 18 over a 3-part series, and it includes one of them being that they're out of touch. I mean, there's a WWE-like feel to EA Sports right now, and if you're a wrestling fan, you watch WWE, you see what the current product is, you kind of get what I'm trying to say here, EA doesn't have competition, Vince McMahon doesn't have competition, boom, laziness, to not do nothing, to not improve the product. I'll get to all that later on. They said that with the previous Ignite engine, they weren't able to do a story mode like this. FIFA 17 got a story mode much similar. 2K even had their own story mode in NBA 2K. But I still think, to me, MLB The Show, with Road to the Show, they're the only ones I think truly that have done the story mode properly. You can actually control the aspects of your character. And I think that's what EA, when I look at EA and 2K with NBA and things like that, is that they can take a lot from MLB The Show, Road to the Show, where there's a lot more of the user aspect of it, of how you play as the user, that determines how the character in the game is portrayed. And so basically, let me give you guys an example of how I would have done this mode. Let me just give you guys an example here. If you look at the title of this video, basically a lot of promise, but wrong direction, or whatever. Whatever I'm going to name this video, it's going to have something to do with big promise, wrong direction, whatever the case may be. So whatever the title of this video is, look at it, it's a lot of potential, but they went the wrong direction. I think, to me, the big thing is making it like a cinematic movie. I don't understand it. To me, how do you spend 4 years on something that you can't even play? The entire thing dictates what you're going to do regardless. And the whole thing is like one big movie, and there's nothing that you, the user, can control. Now, how I would have done this mode is quite simple. If I had 4 years to work on this, I would have at least started this out in you get one season of a playable high school senior year of football, where, based on how you do, based on how you perform, you would get scholarship offers for certain colleges at the end of the year. And I guess depending on the license that EA got, because they've only showed Texas and Oregon, and it seems like you're a quarterback from Texas, so you don't really get the choice of which college you play for. But to me, I think you play through 1 year of high school football. You then get scholarship offers from different colleges, and depending on the license that the EA could get, like say maybe at least 20, maybe 15, then you play through a generic 4-year college football season, or potentially 3, where maybe you can have a choice to come out as a junior instead of playing through 4 years. I think that would have been very interesting. And then depending on how you did over those 4 years, I think then you could actually then go through where you are then your player is then kind of scouted, so to speak. You can go through the process leading up to the draft. Whether you're a first rounder, second rounder, whatever the case may be, you go through the combine, the workouts, a chance to improve your draft stock, all the stuff that we as fans see play out in real life. You get to go through all of that throughout this mode, and then up to the draft, and then you play through the NFL and try to take your guy and get him to be a Super Bowl MVP. But they went into this other direction where you don't have really any say in things. I go back earlier where maybe after you play through the 1 year of high school football, you go to college football, you get a scholarship from Texas maybe. And you're the quarterback for Texas, you get into trouble. You get this off the field trait where you're an issue. Where teams will red flag you or take you off their draft boards because you have character issues or whatever the case may be, and then you have to try to prove all that wrong. But here it's just like it's this preset thing. There's nothing really that the user can really dictate. There's nothing that the user playing this mode can really get out of it. Because I think there's so much potential here. So much potential, but they just went the wrong direction. And I'm really not trying to bash EA, believe me. And I think they could have done this a lot better, is what I'm saying. Because I think the way that I would have done it is, 1 year of high school, 4 years of college football, and then the NFL. But, right now, Longshot, in its current form, I don't know how playable this mode is going to be, how people are going to take to it when it does come out in August. I know a lot of diehards, like the franchise guys, which I would classify myself as a franchise guy, where I care more about what EA has done to franchise mode to improve it over the last Madden. And when I look at this, where I'm thinking, or when I look at this and it's 40 years that they spent on this, and I look at where franchise is, and it boggles my mind. But at the same time, the story mode itself did pique my interest. It piqued my interest to play it until I found out that there's really no set direction that you, the player, can control. It's a set direction dictated by EA. It's funny because a lot of people say, EA has all these restrictions. They want you to play their way. They don't want you to play your way. And again, I think we have to go back to that, where here in the story mode, they want you to play their way, and they're again taking away the freedom of the user to kind of play the way they want to play. How I want to play is different from Johnny down the street wants to play, or how David from 500 miles away, how he wants to play. And I think trying to force people into one character, one person with a set storyline where you don't have any control over the guy. You can't actually make yourself, because this whole thing is like a movie, so they have, the entire thing is scripted, so Devin Wade is the name you are given and you're stuck with, much like NBA 2K, where you were stuck with that horrible name of Frequency, I think it was, or whatever, I don't know, whatever the name was, the horrible name that you were given in 2K's story mode. But there's nothing that allows you to customize the character, nothing that can set you apart, you can add yourself to the game through the EA face scan feature. I mean, again, so much potential here, but just one big disappointment. It's great, but to me, can't even play a game. It stops you after the draft. So this is basically the entire synopsis of this. Devin Wade has a dream. He wants to play in the NFL as a quarterback, to be precise. Now, again, here we are with a preset storyline, okay? You're forced to be a quarterback. You can't play any other position. And that's, to me, is one of the big problems with this, is that this game doesn't have any customizable features to it where the user can kind of change things up to where maybe he's a running back, he's a wide receiver, tight end, outside linebacker, safety, corner. You're stuck to being a quarterback. However, Devin's not some Division I college football hotshot. He isn't on any scout's radar or ESPN analyst's draft board. He's been out of football for years. He has thought about quitting, moving on, about getting a quote-unquote real job. But Devin's not ready to let go of his dream just yet. As the star of Madden 18's Longshot, the first story mode, he's going to give one more chance. And it's up to you to make it happen. This is from Polygon.com. To me, the whole thing is here. I find it funny. It says up to you to make it happen, but yet truly all this is a cinematic trailer with cutscenes where you're barely even doing anything to make Devin Wade do anything. Mike Young, the creator-director on Madden 18, was also a co-writer for this new story mode, Longshot. All the games within Longshot, none of them are the main character playing a 2017 NFL schedule. This is a story about getting to the NFL. And the article here, Polygon.com, continues on. The operative word there is a story. Young and Longshot's other lead writer, Adrian Todd Zungia, wanted to tell a specific tale about a particular character, and do it in a way that was on par with a sports film. In fact, Young repeatedly returned to the description, promising movie-quality writing, acting, visuals, and production values. Our philosophy was a playable movie versus like a career mode with cutscenes. Unbelievable. How out of touch is EA Sports? This is why Sony or 2K needs to get the NFL license. This is so ridiculous. And now let's move on to another article here, Game Informer. And it's interesting that a lot of the comments that I see on Twitter, I see on the comment section of the trailer for Longshot, a lot of the fans do not seem happy with this mode. Some people are. Again, it's interesting to me the direction EA Sports is going. I mean, to come up for 4 years and not have this mode be playable, I think that tells you the decisions they're making are not the right decisions. So basically that's what it is in a nutshell. It's a story mode where you don't play anything. It's just something that's predetermined. You can't change positions. You're stuck being this guy. You can't be yourself. So this is basically a carbon copy of what EA implemented in FIFA 17 last year, called The Journey. Now Madden has the Longshot, which again, I think this all sounds great as a superstar mode that throughout the whole entire mode, you're impactful Every decision you make as the user controls how the character is portrayed, but this is obviously not the direction that they chose. It's a mini movie, essentially, a Friday Night Lights type of feel. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of the Longshot? EA Sports' effort at a story mode which does not make any sense in a sports game whatsoever. To me, again, at first I was happy. I was actually kind of excited because it seemed very interesting. But then I found out you can't even play it. You're not even playing an NFL game. It ends after the draft. The whole thing to me seems colluded. Downright ridiculous. I think for me, if they were going to take anything from 2K and what NBA 2K has done, they took the worst possible thing in a story mode and brought it to Madden, instead of focusing on taking what has made NBA 2K's My GM so great and applying it to franchise mode in Madden. That should tell you where EA lies in the direction they are heading. And in part 2, I will be discussing the move to Frostbite and why, at this point, EA Sports Madden has become the WWE of video games. This has been the Everything Else podcast. I've been your host, Money Mike, and I'll see you next time for part 2 in my Madden 18 discussion.